Stop recommending those carbon paddles to beginners. You're just suppressing their feel for the ball. Every day, I feel like I'm watching a massive live technical diagnosis session. I see a lot of coaches criticizing their students. This movement is wrong, that movement is wrong, but all they do is shout slogans over and over. But in my opinion, sometimes giving them the right paddle and letting them experience it anew can make it easier for them to sense what kind of technical abilities they need to develop. So, I want to talk about how the Butterfly X Start series from generations 1 to 5 can be used precisely to correct the 5 most common technical mistakes students make. The first type is the one most commonly encountered at the very beginning of lessons. I call this type the wooden man. This is someone with zero foundation, who grips the paddle very tightly and has no feel for where the paddle is hitting the ball. They just can't find any sense of ball control at all. In this situation, I would give them the X Start first generation. At the moment you hit the ball, you'll notice a kind of loose, tingling sensation. This means you haven't really hit the sweet spot yet. At times like these, it doesn't matter if you mishit the ball. You need to make use of the physical vibration to find the sweet spot when hitting, which helps you develop the purest sense of ball feel. So I can call this a sensory awakener. Now for the second type of student, I usually call them Astro Boy with iron arms. It's like their feet are stuck in water, nailed to the ground, and they rely entirely on their upper arms and forearms to hit the ball. After less than 10 minutes, their necks are stiff and their shoulders hurt. That's when I bring out the first generation of the X Start. The feel when hitting with this paddle is very smooth, but it doesn't have a bouncy response. If you rely solely on your arms for power, most of the time you won't even get the ball over the net. The key is to eliminate their habit of using only their arms to forcefully generate power and to help them experience the rotation of the hip joint. Once you learn to use the power from your hips to drive the shot, you can achieve a feeling of slicing the ball, and this can help you effectively rebuild your kinetic chain. The third type of student is even more interesting. At first glance, their movements look pretty standard. Their waist rotates and everything, but the balls they hit are always light and floaty, completely lacking any penetration. We call this kind of shot weak power. At this point, I would introduce them to the third generation of X Start, which is mostly used to specifically address students who only use their upper body strength. The key to hitting the ball at this stage is to generate power from your legs. We want them to experience how to initiate force from the ground and then gradually transfer it layer by layer upward. If the strength in your legs is weak, your shots will end up being scattered and lacking focus. But if you hit solidly, then this blade will give you a foundational force to transmit through your shot, so it's mostly used as a blade to activate the lower body. Next is the fourth type. Some players have pretty good basic skills, but when it comes to learning how to loop, they just can't do it. When they hit the ball, it's all just loud banging sounds from impact with no brushing or friction, and whenever they try to loop, the ball just flies straight out of bounds. In this situation, I would give them the fourth generation blade. This blade is actually much harder compared to the others, and the ball comes off it very quickly. So if you don't use friction, it's very easy for the ball to just fly straight out of bounds. The key is to force them to find the feeling of wrapping the ball, to find that thin and fast sense of friction at the moment the wrist strikes the ball, and to produce a very safe arc. This is essentially an arc generator. The last type is the most typical king of the practice court. When hitting multi-ball, wow, their movements look almost perfect, almost like something out of a textbook. But as soon as it comes to scoring in a match, the person gets scared, and then their eyes become fixed, and they end up missing all the returns when receiving serves. In this situation, I would use the fifth generation of this X Start. It has a very high margin for error, which gives students a sense of security. You no longer need to be distracted thinking, I need to adjust the angle of the paddle, adjust the blade. You don't need to worry about any of that anymore. At these times, you can focus even more on anticipating during actual matches, clearly observing the opponent's friction when hitting the ball and what kind of spin they've put on it. This can really serve as a game changer in real match situations. When playing, don't blindly pursue expensive equipment, because the paddle isn't meant for you to show off. It's there to help you correct your technique, rebuild your power generation mechanics, or fully bring out your own unique playing style. That's all for today. This video is not sponsored. I'm just introducing the teaching aids I usually use in my classes, letting everyone get to know these first to fifth generation teaching aids. Sometimes you can check out Ma Likajua's social media, like Xingyu6365. For 365 days, use the most fundamental logic of table tennis to build the strongest table tennis mind. Hey, don't throw that trash away. Those are my paddles.